to Pew Hispanic Research, from 2005 to 2010, 1.4 million immigrants moved to the United States. During that same time, 1.4 million moved back to the U.S., back to Mexico. From the U.S. back to Mexico. Joining me this morning, Republican Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison of Texas, who's dealt with a number of immigration issues in her time in office. It's nice to see you. Thanks for being with us. We certainly appreciate it. This report I thought was pretty interesting, this idea of a net zero. What do you think has caused that, the number moving in, the same as the number moving out?
Well, I think our bad economy is a major reason. We just have not been able to employ the people who are coming here seeking employment. I also think that we are beginning to get the border control and the border enforcement in order, and I think people are realizing that they may be deported and they may never be able to come back in legally if they are deported, because we're getting better data banks. So all of these things, I think, are a factor, but I think it still begs the question, why don't we have an immigration policy that supports our border control and also allows legal immigration?
Apprehensions among illegal border crossers down 70%. That number was a surprise to me. Does that surprise you?
Well, somewhat, but not completely, because I think that there is still encroachment on the border that is illegal. And I think, we have, Soledad, clearly criminal activity coming across the border as well, and that's very problematic. We know that in Mexico the violence is really atrocious on the border, and people are being killed, and that is beginning to encroach in the cartels into the United States. So that is perhaps not being caught, and that's where we need to really crack down.
Good morning, Senator. This is John Fugelsang. Considering that the current Democratic president has had a record number of deportations, as well as moving National Guard troops to the border, is there any credit to be given to this administration for these declining numbers, or do you assign it mostly to the economy?
Well, I think that we all want to work together and give the president credit, give the law enforcement people credit, the Border Patrol. We've been doubling the Border Patrol and tripling it over the last 10 years. I think all of these things come together, and I wouldn't take away anything. I do think that it is important that we continue border enforcement, but also it's time for Congress to act to allow farm workers, for instance, to come in. Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, Arizona as well, and California have problems getting the farm workers. So we need to have a way to have a guest worker program that would be enacted that would allow workers to go back and forth legally and do work that isn't being done by Americans.
Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison joining us this morning. Nice to see you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.